What if I told you that in just 20 minutes, the life you've been dreaming of could begin to shift? Not because of luck, not because of hard work alone, but because your mind and energy have been quietly programming reality all along. And here's the fear you must feel to wake up. Most people spend decades manifesting what they don't want while thinking they're chasing their dreams. And pause. Ever notice how you scroll, plan, and worry, yet the same outcomes keep repeating? Funny, right? Well, that's not coincidence, it's a pattern. And the excitement begins when you realize that pattern can be rewritten in minutes. That Act 1 is simply awareness, feeling the gap between what is and what could be. Act 2 is the turning point, where you harness imagination, emotion, and intention as tools of creation, where urgency bites because the moment you hesitate, energy dissipates, and quick reset. Have you ever imagined something so vividly that your heart raced like it was already yours? Cliffhanger. Act 3 is where transformation becomes undeniable, where those 20 minutes of deliberate focus and elevated feeling create ripples you can't ignore. And by the end, you'll understand why what seems impossible right now is quietly waiting for your permission to arrive. And the final step is the one almost everyone misses, yet it's the key that unlocks everything. What if the biggest barrier between you and the life you dream of isn't luck, circumstances, or even effort, but simply a lack of clarity? Because when you don't truly know what you want, energy fragments, focus wavers, and even the universe seems to respond with hesitation. And here's the fear you must feel. The longer you drift without absolute clarity, the more your time, energy, and potential are quietly siphoned away by indecision and quick pause. Have you ever spent hours thinking you were making progress only to realize you didn't even know your destination? Funny how that happens, right? That's Act 1, the awakening, where awareness hits like a lightning bolt. Your mind cannot attract what it cannot clearly define. And without this clarity, excitement, intention, and opportunity all scatter like leaves in a storm, leaving you wondering why effort alone never seems to deliver. In Act 1, clarity begins with introspection, asking yourself brutally honest questions about what you truly desire, not what others expect of you, not what seems reasonable, but what makes your soul hum. What makes your heart race in anticipation? And here's the urgency. Most people settle for comfortable ambiguity because it's safer than confronting the depth of their real dreams. Yet every moment spent in vagueness is a moment life could have been shaping toward your vision, and pattern interrupt. Have you ever bought something because it seemed nice, only to feel empty later? That's exactly what happens when your life is guided by half-formed desires. You attract fragments, substitutes, mediocrity, instead of the fullness your spirit craves. As Act 1 unfolds, fear transforms into possibility. The fear of wasting time becomes a catalyst for action, and excitement begins to pulse when you start distinguishing between fleeting whims and core desires. Because clarity is not about picking randomly from options. It is about tuning into your own resonance, your inner compass, the quiet voice that knows what would make life extraordinary. And here's the cliffhanger. Most people think they know what they want, but deep down their desires are diluted by societal conditioning, by obligations, by fear of judgment, and it's this hidden uncertainty that quietly repels opportunity while masquerading as ambition. Act 2 is the turning point, where imagination meets precision, and clarity evolves from a vague wish into a detailed vision, where the mind begins to map the contours of desire with intention, specificity, and urgency, because the universe responds to exactness, to signals that are sharp and unwavering, not scattered and hesitant. And here's the fear trigger. Ambiguous desires attract delayed or disappointing results, and often, the longer you remain unclear, the stronger your frustration grows, the more anxious you feel that life is passing you by. And quick humorous pause. Ever notice how someone says, "I want a better life," but can't describe it beyond vague adjectives like happy or rich? That's like ordering a pizza and just saying, "I want food," not specifying toppings, crust, or size. As Act 2 deepens, excitement and urgency intertwine, because clarity illuminates a path previously unseen, and the nervous system begins to respond differently when the brain knows exactly what to look for, shifting attention, perception, and intuition toward the desired outcome. And here's the cliffhanger. Every great achiever in history started with this moment of brutal, uncompromising clarity, the moment they stopped chasing illusions and defined the life they would not negotiate with and pattern interrupt. Have you ever tried to assemble a puzzle without seeing the picture on the box? That's life without clarity. You might connect pieces, but the final image remains elusive, and the longer you delay defining it, the more pieces end up in the wrong place. Act 3 begins when clarity solidifies into a non-negotiable personal truth, when the mind stops waffling and starts radiating certainty, when every thought, every feeling, every choice begins to orbit around the defined desire. And here's the urgency. Energy flows where attention goes, and fragmented attention never builds momentum. It dissipates potential, slows manifestation, and keeps dreams on a distant horizon, while clear, precise, unwavering attention activates pathways that attract circumstances, people, and opportunities aligned with your vision and quick reset. Notice how children are clear about what they want. They don't debate, they don't justify, they focus. And yet adults often confuse social conditioning with wisdom, delaying the magic of focused clarity. As Act 3 deepens, a transformation occurs because clarity does more than identify a goal. It electrifies your energy, aligns subconscious patterns, and generates magnetic focus. And fear morphs into confidence, excitement morphs into anticipation, urgency morphs into momentum, and every decision begins to reinforce the vision, not distract from it. And here's the cliffhanger. This is the point most people miss. Clarity is not static. It is a living, breathing force that grows stronger with repetition, reflection, and refinement. And when maintained, it turns desire into inevitability, because the universe cannot resist precision, because energy responds to defined frequency, because when you truly know, the path opens almost as if it had been waiting for your signal all along. As the final layers of Act 3 unfold, clarity becomes a lens through which every experience is filtered, where distractions are easily dismissed, where opportunities are instantly recognized, and where aligned action flows naturally without forcing, convincing, or overthinking and pattern interrupt. Ever wonder why some people seem lucky when in reality they are simply clear enough to see what everyone else misses? Clarity is not about controlling outcomes. It is about sharpening vision, amplifying intention, and creating the magnetic field in which dreams are drawn toward you. And here's the ultimate cliffhanger. The moment you stop questioning what you want, stop diluting your desire with hesitation or compromise, everything begins to respond, everything begins to move, and the energy you radiate begins to attract exactly what you defined with precision, power, and unstoppable momentum. What if I told you that the secret to manifesting your desires isn't just knowing what you want, but feeling it as if it's already yours? Because emotions are the language of the universe, and thoughts alone without feeling remain inert, powerless, and unnoticed. Here's the fear you need to feel right now. The longer you wait to generate genuine emotional alignment, the more opportunities pass silently, unnoticed, because life responds not to idle wishes, but to the energy you radiate. And quick pause. Have you ever wished for something, repeated it like a mantra, but your chest didn't flutter, your heart didn't race, your soul didn't whisper, "This is real"? That's Act 1, the awakening, where awareness hits like a jolt. Knowing alone is insufficient. Your nervous system must believe it, embody it, live it in advance, and until that happens, manifestation is a slow, distant dream, not a tangible reality. In Act 1, elevated emotion begins with honesty, recognizing how disconnected many people are from their feelings, how they chase results while suppressing the very energy that could draw them near. And here's the urgency. Thoughts without feeling are like sails without wind. The boat may look prepared, but it goes nowhere, and pattern interrupt. Ever notice how people can say, "I'm confident," while trembling inside, or declare, "I will achieve this," while dreading failure? That disconnect is the invisible wall between desire and reality, and it's what keeps most dreams hovering just out of reach, like a balloon tied to the wrong string. As Act 1 deepens, excitement enters, because the moment you begin to feel your desire as already real, the body and mind shift, your entire system begins to align, subtle signs appear, and energy moves in your favor. But here's the cliffhanger. Most people confuse excitement with external validation. They wait for proof outside instead of generating it internally, and that's where the fear intensifies. If you do not create the emotion first, the universe has no frequency to respond to, no signal to follow, and your dreams remain potential energy, waiting for activation, invisible to the world and to your own nervous system. Act 2 is the turning point, where imagination meets feeling, where visualization is no longer a mental exercise but an emotional experience, where every detail of your desire is not just pictured but felt deeply, as if it exists now, in this very moment. And here's the urgency. Delaying this practice delays your results because energy flows where attention and emotion converge, and quick, humorous reset. Ever tried to imagine winning the lottery while muttering maybe someday and felt nothing? Congratulations, you just practiced nothing. The universe smiled and moved along because emotion is the key ingredient, the pulse that signals reality to rearrange itself. As Act 2 unfolds, elevated emotion requires total engagement, heart, body, and mind synchronized, because your nervous system cannot distinguish between real experience and vividly imagined experience when feelings are fully engaged. And here's the cliffhanger. What you feel now, even in imagination, begins to create pathways in your brain, chemical reactions in your body, and magnetic signals in your energy field that attract circumstances and opportunities aligned with that feeling, and pattern interrupt. Have you ever laughed at something before it happened, felt joy before it arrived, or teared up in anticipation of success? That's not coincidence. It's a prelude, a rehearsal for reality. A rehearsal many people never bother to perform. Act 3 begins when elevated emotion becomes habitual. Not forced or fleeting, but natural, spontaneous, and consistent. When your nervous system learns to vibrate at the frequency of desire, regardless of external circumstances. And fear transforms into power because resistance no longer has dominion over your state. And excitement becomes anticipation because you already know, in your bones, that what you want is inevitable. And here's the urgency. Every moment spent disconnected from that emotion is a moment life could have responded, a delay in manifestation, a missed alignment, and quick reset. Ever notice how someone who radiates confidence, joy, or love seems to magnetically draw circumstances without effort? That's not luck. That's elevated emotion mastered. As Act 3 deepens, energy aligns with clarity, visualization becomes effortless, and the vibrational field around you begins to broadcast signals that attract matching experiences, people, and opportunities, because emotion is the bridge between thought and manifestation. And here's the cliffhanger. The most powerful emotions are those that feel as real now as they will when they manifest. Because your nervous system cannot wait, it responds to the present feeling as if the future has already arrived. And the moment you embody that feeling, the universe has no choice but to conspire in your favor. As the transformation continues, elevated emotion fuels inspired action, intuition sharpens, synchronicities appear, and momentum builds, because the energy you radiate now creates a magnetic pull for the exact experiences aligned with your desire, and pattern interrupt. Ever notice how people who are happy or fulfilled seem to stumble into opportunities effortlessly, while those who wait for proof endlessly chase shadows? That is the difference between thought alone and thought fused with feeling, the difference between potential and actualization, the difference between dreaming and living your vision. As Act 3 reaches its peak, urgency crystallizes, because the longer you wait to feel your desires as real, the more time passes where manifestation could have already begun, and fear dissolves into anticipation, excitement solidifies into confidence, and momentum transforms into inevitable results. And here's the ultimate cliffhanger. The final key that most miss is not just imagining or feeling, but continuously embodying the emotion, living it in every heartbeat, in every breath, until the universe can no longer distinguish between your inner experience and outer reality, and your desire is drawn into manifestation with unstoppable power. What if the life you dream of isn't far away but already waiting for you to see it clearly, to feel it completely, and to imagine it with precision? Because the universe responds not to vague wishes, but to fully experienced visions. And here's the fear you need to feel. The moment your imagination wavers, the energy disperses, and the dreams you crave drift into someone else's reality. And quick pause. Ever caught yourself daydreaming half-heartedly, thinking you're manifesting, only to realize your mind wandered off to grocery lists or emails? That's Act 1, the awakening, where awareness strikes. Focused visualization isn't mere fantasy. It is the deliberate act of engaging all your senses as if your desire is already present. And until that happens, even the clearest intention is powerless, inert, like a key without a lock. In Act 1, focused visualization begins with clarity of vision, knowing exactly what you want in intricate detail, but it does not stop there. Your mind must paint the scene with full sensory immersion, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, and smelling your desired reality as vividly as possible. And here's the urgency. Every moment spent half imagining is a moment the universe cannot act, a delay in alignment, a pause in manifestation, and pattern interrupt. Have you ever imagined your ideal vacation but forgot to smell the ocean breeze, feel the sand, hear the waves? That's not manifestation, that's daydreaming, and the energy you release in that incomplete vision is weak, scattered, and easily ignored. As Act 1 deepens, fear transforms into responsibility, because your imagination is not a toy, it is a creative tool, and used incorrectly, it reproduces doubt, reinforces limitation, and attracts fragmented outcomes. And excitement begins to pulse when you realize that every sensation you engage strengthens your energetic signal, sending a clear magnetic frequency to the universe. But here's the cliffhanger. Most people never engage all senses. They see it, maybe feel it a little, but they neglect the sound, the touch, the taste, the smell. And this gap is why visualization often fails to materialize fully, because incomplete sensory input creates hesitation instead of momentum. Act 2 is the turning point where imagination shifts from passive to active, from vague picture to vivid multi-sensory experience, where you hear the laughter, smell the environment, feel the texture, taste the sweetness of success or joy, and urgency becomes undeniable. Your nervous system begins to respond as if the experience is happening now, producing chemicals, emotions, and a magnetic field that draws aligned opportunities. And quick, humorous reset. Ever tried imagining money arriving while ignoring the sound of coins clinking or the texture of bills in your hand? Congratulations, your brain just filed that as a suggestion, not a reality, and pattern interrupt. The universe doesn't negotiate with sort of visions. It responds to the fully lived moment. As Act 2 unfolds, excitement grows because engaging all senses creates a physiological rehearsal, training your body and mind to inhabit the desired reality before it manifests externally. And here's the cliffhanger. Most people fail because they rely solely on mental imagery, ignoring that emotion is triggered through multisensory engagement, and without feeling it fully, without engaging taste, touch, sight, sound, and subtle sensory nuances, the vision lacks vibrational power, and energy dissipates before it can magnetize results. Act 3 begins when focused visualization becomes ritualized, habitual, deliberate, and immersive, when the mind moves seamlessly between senses, layering sound, texture, movement, and color, until the imagined reality is indistinguishable from lived experience and fear transforms into urgency, because every second spent disconnected from sensory engagement is a moment manifestation delays, and excitement solidifies into anticipation, because your system now responds to the imagined moment as though it has already arrived. And quick reset. Ever notice how athletes mentally rehearse every step, every motion, every breath before a game? That's multi-sensory visualization, and it's why champions perform as if victory is inevitable. As Act 3 deepens, the connection between thought, emotion, and sensory experience generates a powerful magnetic field, signaling to your environment, your subconscious, and the universe that this reality is non-negotiable, inevitable, and already present, and pattern interrupt. Notice how musicians hear the notes in their mind before playing, actors feel the scene before stepping on stage, entrepreneurs sense opportunities before they arrive. That's the power of fully engaged visualization, the secret most people overlook. And here's the cliffhanger. The moment you begin to taste, touch, see, hear, and feel your desired life as though it exists now, every atom of your being begins to align, creating momentum that cannot be ignored. As the final layers of Act 3 unfold, focused visualization becomes more than imagination. It becomes a blueprint, a rehearsal, a command to the universe, and urgency sharpens because manifestation accelerates when every sense is engaged, every emotion activated, and every detail rehearsed with precision, and fear shifts into confidence. Excitement becomes anticipation, and energy flows uninterrupted toward the desired outcome. And quick, humorous pause. Ever notice how some people seem to luck out while others struggle endlessly? The difference is simple. Full sensory engagement versus mental half measures, deliberate immersion versus casual thinking. As the transformation completes, focused visualization creates an internal ecosystem where your mind, body, and energy field are in harmony, where your nervous system responds as if the desired reality is happening now, where every choice, every action, and every thought is guided by the vivid, multi-sensory map you have rehearsed. And here's the ultimate cliffhanger. The power is not in wishing, not in hoping, not in seeing alone, but in inhabiting the reality with all senses awake, all emotions felt, all details alive, until the universe can no longer distinguish between imagination and reality. And the moment you consistently live in that immersive vision, manifestation becomes not possibility, but inevitability.